something going in the background. One of my usual D&D playlists. There we go.
Dungeons and Dragons? Wait, what?
Dungeons and Dragons. I think I'm literally starting to like Dungeons
I
and
don't-
Dragons.
I don't think I'm gonna like Dungeons and Dragons, guys.
I don't want to waste my points, but making Zach stretch a lot is very funny.
Oh,
I will time you
please.
out.
I mean, what? It's fine, Zach. There's 6 of us here, Zach.
Hey, John.
I'm
Yes.
innocent.
Hey, John. Why did the cell phone get glasses? Because she
why?
lost all her. She lost.
What?
Because
Oh,
she
I have
lost
to show
all her
that.
contacts. She lost all her contacts.
John, you good? You good?
She
It
lost
wasn't-
all
it
her
wasn't-
contacts.
No.
Do we need Shasta here, Zach? Is it if it's a requirement, I'll behave. If
I'm
it's-
gonna have the sniper team
I
take
like
him out
it.
right
I like
now.
it because of that. Shasta is now what was Bill's spot, so Shasta's in the corner.
That's-
Ah,
You get put in the corner.
Welcome by, Safari. We'll give a few minutes. We'll let people arrive. We're not even at the hour yet.
Howdy, Goobers. Is this when
I was
raised
on
back-
the news today.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Huh?
What did you do?
Oh, you'll find out soon enough. I'm sure it'll hit national news.
Ooh.
Oh.
I was very charitable.
This is the truth, actually.
I'm confused.
Yeah, it's just
It's
you just
the
say it in an
truth.
ominous way.
Yeah. I did something very nice.
I know where you are, Zach. Blow that place up.
Will explode. Welcome, Bubble. Looks like we have a few people filing in now. Sindru subscribes. Thank you very much for the subscription. A 2-month streak.
Can I do another
Appreciate the support. Helps me get little bits of... I try to put all of that money towards little bits of art, like the PNG tours we have now, or Apo, or stuff for the book.
Yippee!
We should just have a folder full of Apple art.
I
would
have like
love that.
I have like 5 different pieces of Apo art now. I'll share it with you all.
Amazing. Amazing.
And
I
I
love
want
Apple
those.
so much. I like that we're taking Apple on the adventure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to see them as the mimic with the little versions
baubles.
of us. You know.
Wait a minute, I did
Can't
not
wait.
read this message. I have to fix that notification. I have cool animations for it now. For the subscriptions and whatnot.
Oh damn.
Long is the reach, dark is the deep, long live the king, Bumble snort to the sun to visit Caius.
It might be a little hot.
You know, I once threatened someone to send them to the sun, jokingly, as Maldor, back in season 2.
Is that's where, okay? That's where the sunproof boots came from.
Yeah.
I like that it's just the boots, though. Like the rest.
No, it's nothing else.
You know, if you have the
Defeat
boots, you're good. Like I mean, you just gotta
Yeah,
stand
yeah.
there.
Right.
The-
That's how
the
it
feet-
works.
Yeah, the feet are fine. Everything else.
You're not thinking about it. All the hot is on the sun. And the hot in your feet are on the sun. Just
And
don't
we
touch the
produced
sun.
season 4, everyone.
Like rubber boots with a lightning strike. As long as you wear those, you're fine.
Welcome in, welcome in. Sephi. Actually Bumble Snort this time. Today we'll ramble a little bit about a number of different seasonal things. I'll pass off to the various people who played seasonal NPCs who were able to gather with me today. I'll let them all chat a little bit about it. then we'll just open for questions and see what kind of crazy things people got up to, because a lot of the things you guys did, as per the design of the season, other people did not know about some of these things. You could only experience so many things at once, you know? Feel free. Welcome by, Candy. Was there any really cool moments for any of you this season you think other people didn't get to experience? Various folks who have joined in. Oh, there's one of my animations that worked properly this time.
I do wish with the do that we had the ship the other way around, so people could have heard our random conversations.
I do wish that was the case.
We love that table, but yeah, because there was the one conversation I loved the most was Edrin and Volmar talking to two people that were trying to trick Edrin and Volmar, but they knew they were trying to trick Edrin and Volmar. So me and Zach were just whispering the entire time, and it was very fun.
Little slash do's here and there.
Yeah.
Not many people got to experience how paranoid Edrin was through that, unless they caught him suddenly suddenly hearing something out in the street and getting up to go and get in front of it, or they had a private meeting with him. There was a good 8 or 10 people who had private meetings with him.
I love this season, all the conversations you'd have in Whisper, but you'd say the last sentence in local so everyone could hear it and have no idea.
I think it was better when Zach accepted the wrong command and it went into everyone's, it like highlighted everyone's thing. I think that was even better. I think
No.
the entire server saw it. It was great.
Maybe commit a crime, couldn't comment, says Bumble.
Oh yeah, no one committed any crimes the entire season. Definitely not.
Yeah.
No,
There were no
Definitely.
crimes.
no.
I was pardoned. What are you talking about?
I decided to pardon the state of Stone Bay.
I don't know how many times my journal was pages were changed. I lost count.
Hey, Dylan. Of course, we leave those out for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so you guys can go and read them.
There was also a journal in the room under Vilma's place where he literally said that's literally just there to trap people to make so he knew people were snooping on him.
I really enjoyed leaving 32 copies of someone's will in the Dusha.
We were finding those for weeks.
We found those for so long. I'm
I
pretty
guess-
sure
I
when we went back to
want
the ship. When we went back to the ship after the face sealer stuff, we found one.
I'll have you know, when Augustino left, he gave them a copy of their will as a goodbye present.
In all seriousness, I really enjoyed. There were a few people who actually paid Edwin to like talk to like spirits and get like guidance and stuff, and most of them were bullshit. But there was one where I decided to like kind of like pull back the curtain a little bit and like talk about what could happen in the future, and that was really fun. I don't know if that person ever like put two and two together, but there were like vague references to a handful of things on like our calendar, which was really fun.
That's
Not like the like finality of like face stealers, but like it talked about like the compass flag and things going poorly after betrayal and da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I really appreciated my little underground meetings with the garden, because the garden and Ivana had actually several meetings, and it was really interesting to see all the various ways that people would trickle in at around our meeting time because they had to get to the place that we wanted to meet discreetly. And I think probably most of all, despite the beginning of the meetings, I actually just really appreciated the meetings as a whole. It was really interesting to knit together a group of 4 people and have them slowly become friends and also partners in crime. But the friends first, that's the most important part, guys.
Mm.
Ironic, like, funnily enough, the two funniest and like best bits I had with Tarvisa was actually very Ivana related. With the first being kicking on her little vent outside to ask for poison, and only like 3 people being there to see it. I just liked that. It was so cool. But you know, nobody got to see except for like 2 people Tarvisa actually being broken out, because that wasn't just I turn around the corner and go into spec. They like actually threw potions on me, put me in a boat, and dragged me out to the edge of the map of Orlon. Which was so
Super cool.
like dancing around people in while I was invisible. Specifically Bumblesnort, actually. We were dancing around Bumblesnort. It was so much fun. And I think the honorable mention is the like half friendship that Tarvisa had with Melina, because Melina gave him a bird, and he loved that bird so much that he just sent it to the Citadel after he left, and now his bird is just in there.
Otto.
The long and short of it is that the most enjoyable interactions tend to be based around the little guys we've acquiesced throughout the season.
Mm.
We cultivated little seeds, planted them in a garden, and now we have herbs. It's like a garden.
Hard to mention.
And it was part of the design for the season that we would have as many people on the ground as possible at once to try and pull people in different directions so that you wouldn't be able to see everything that was happening, so that there was a lot of chance for personal interactions. Looks like people really enjoyed a lot of those moments. Checking the chat quick.
Also, being the battle golem was hilarious. Just flying up and flying away was just funny.
I think the funnier options were after Yari was revealed to be 1, the shepherd, and 2, the Yam surprise, and 2 other animals. Was just people watching Yari go by and be like, "Oh, is that a fucking goat?" Oh, it's just Yari. It's just Yari going by, and then Yari beating the shit out of the face stealer.
That was funny in one of the battles when I was spawning. Just hearing people react to that multiple times, just be like, "Is that a fucking goat?" No, it's Yari. It's Yari.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually one of my other really fun ones, was during Tarvisa's first event, seeing Yari, and then also seeing Yam Surprise, and understanding that Yari was Yam Surprise and Ivana was Yari. And
I was at that event and was genuinely out of character, confused.
So confused.
Because on tab, they had their normal skins. So I was like, "Oh." Yeah, it's always good when they confuse the people that are meant to know that they can do that. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite, like, not themes, but like long-standing things was like people being really like, I don't know if saying aggressive is the right word, but like kind of like trying to be like, "I'm gonna get you," and then like both entities being like, "You can't get me." I really liked that because it kind of let us play like mischievous characters, or like not like lawful characters, but like acknowledge that they're not lawful and be like, "What are you gonna do about it?"
Evidently they did. Evidently they did get us.
Yeah.
They didn't get us.
They got us to stay.
Yeah.
The short
a little bit.
timeline was necessary for such things.
I just loved playing Augustino consistently having a bad time. Just every day. Having a bad day.
Your character design is always so funny, Bill.
It
And
was-
they have kids back home.
Single dad. The fact that you poisoned people within the first week, Bill, was hilarious.
didn't even mean to. That's the worst part.
To
Waking
be
up.
fair, the poison tea in the browse menu looks near exactly the same as the regular tea, unless you have tags on.
It is meant to look the same.
Yeah.
It was just waking up to that as a break, because obviously that happened when I was asleep. Waking up to that was hilarious. Was just hilarious.
I will say that probably ranking in my favorite moments was the poisoner's penny ante, especially when I boiled down to like the last 3 people and it got whispered into my ear that, "Hey, the royal guard's coming to arrest you." being very like charlatan and be like, oh, we had so much fun, didn't we, guys?
Mhm.
People are
I
throwing their
fully
guts
slipped up.
upstairs.
I fully slipped up during that event because, you know, Tarvisa was a 5 the whole time, but they didn't know then, and Declan walked up to Tarvisa and was like, oh, why aren't you down there having fun? And he was like, oh, you know, something, I don't want to get poisoned, not really my deal. And Declan was like, people are getting poisoned? And I was like, oh, no, not at all. What do you mean? Why would I know that? I gotta go. And just going to the tavern.
Is that someone shouting my name? Oh.
But yeah, especially seeing all the little ways in which the players, throughout the game of Poisoner's Penny Hunting, knowing that there were twists, tried to dance around what twists they had knowledge of, and trying to bargain with one another. That was really fun to observe, and that was kind of the intention.
Wow. I'm going to hop in and talk a little bit about the design, but before I do, I'm going to use this moment to plug NQP, because that is the other thing I work on with a lot of people here, is running D&D games in the very same world that Valence is set in, and all the things surrounding it. There are games currently up by everyone. Maybe look at some of the other people. I have enough games going right now, actually. I don't really want another one right now.
4 games a week, you know.
John, you're looking for stuff. Corellian, you're looking for stuff.
Yes,
Dust,
yes,
I think you
yes.
just need one person.
Just need one.
If y'all want to take a brief moment to talk about the games you're going to run, and then I'll hop into design.
Who wants to go first?
I got you guys. All right, so currently I'm planning and filling the slots first. Dimitri, don't hit me in Minecraft when I'm trying to use my last brain cell. So currently I'm planning and filling in slots for Servants and Sisters, which is a tie-in of 2 of my favorite things in Oventur, which is religion and hags. It is essentially the attempts to push back at the sisters whom have started to infiltrate the Calalphin Isles within the archipelago. Through the lens of kind of the balance of purity versus villainy, and trying to tie in some levels of religiosity into working against that which is evil. I really like this one compared to some of the campaigns I've written in the past, where it allows for a little bit broader of a character base and where they're coming in from. The real core is that your character has been called to work against that which is evil, inherently, like the sisters. And I'm really looking forward to the themings of, I am good and I will do what is good, but the cost might be too high, so I might have to bend my morals. And I'm really looking forward to that. Because I like playing villains. I plan on playing some good ones. Yeah, that's Servants and Sisters.
Do you want to go next, Corellian? Give us a little...
Yeah, of course. So I've got a new campaign that I'm trying to find people for as well, called Sailing the Unknown, which is going to be basically when I first did campaigns, I wanted to do a pirate one, but there was already a pirate campaign, so I didn't want to overpollute with pirates, even though pirates are great. This will be more of a piratey one, more of morally grey. Obviously, your character doesn't have to be a villain because, yeah, forcing people to villains is never fun. But a morally grey crew as you basically start being chased. And your captain is basically saying that he has a plan, trust the plan, and it starts with your crew basically doubting and seeing what will happen if you trust your captain and stuff, and seeing if the plan goes through as you're being chased to basically by law enforcement or groups that I don't want to spoil. But yeah, more of a piratey bandit to a certain degree, but more rebel would be the best way I could put it, kind of campaign. And yeah.
And
We're looking for 5 people for that one, so anyone is welcome to join for that one.
Mm-hmm. And Dust, I believe you just needed 1 slot filled on one.
Yep. I'm doing campaign, very simply put, Rising Winds is what it's called. Aloris, the Titan, has been forgotten for around 6 centuries, I believe. Not forgotten. They have stopped answering questions. And nobody knows what happened to Aloris. So this campaign is finding that out. It's going to be a very short run, probably only about 8 sessions, give or take 1 or 2, depending on how the players go. But I only need 1 slot filled at the moment, so get it while you can, I suppose.
Yeah, come and join us for some fun games. Thanks for letting me have my folks blabber on about our cool little games. And I'll hop right into some design on the season. I don't have to hide anything now. Because there was a little bit of deception inherently in the design, in the speed of it. Because this short journey really was meant to surprise you, right? You were being led to believe that there was this direct conflict that you had to resolve between these people, and maybe you had to pick a side, or it seemed more like you had to stop them from causing a problem here, but you weren't sure how to do that. And we've done this enough times before that we knew if we put a bunch of characters in front of you that were generally likable, not actual villains, because we didn't design actual villains this season. We designed possibly antagonists who were in conflict with each other. Things would drag out right to the end. There were a lot of moving parts, so there were pieces not everyone could see. There was strong moral beliefs on both sides that certainly clashed with each other. And the whole point was to try and, first of all, get you to agree with one side more than the other. Thank you to those who picked a side and who played into that idea this season. But second of all, to have a point where things clearly went too far and you could start thinking about, wait, is us taking this at the most dangerous, most deadly possible way of looking at this problem by absolutely not communicating, not talking, not trying to resolve it with the other side in any way? Is that actually the best way to go about this? But there was also a lot of smaller things connected to the individual characters, and so I want to give everyone a moment to talk about their characters without hiding anything about how they were connected to the overall plot or to each other or whatnot. We've got the hammer, there was profits to be made. Who would you want us to talk about first, chat? We'll start there and then I'll just start calling on people. What was your name?
I'd just like to say I'm gonna fucking get Bubble. I'm gonna get him. I know it's not. I'm not. At the beginning of that combat, they were like, "These guys again," and I was like, "Wait, I'm cooking. Wait."
Decent mangoes. We'll let them catch up. I'll just call on someone.
Yeah.
You can call someone unless chat says someone that they want to hear first.
There's bits coming in.
There's questions.
Yeah, for the danger.
For the danger, of course. Of course. I see
Lizzie
one
says-
call from Lizzie for
Yari.
the
Yeah.
honor. We'll start there.
Okay. So, Ivana Gataki is the antithesis of the character I played last season. She is a girl winner rather than a boy failure. Her design is, I wanted to play a character who was still somewhat manipulative, but in a way that could only ever be construed to protect herself, but like physically speaking. And she did just that. I mean, she posed the threat that the Determiners had as like a threat to her life and her liberty, which to some extent it most certainly was. But she would take it so far as to say, "Hey, maybe we should just get away with it." And some people were really receptive to that idea. I think her design as a whole was, I also wanted to get together a small group of people that I could engage in alchemy roleplay with, and I did just that. And she, in herself, despite the fact that she has her various intelligences, especially as it's pertaining to herbology and alchemy, is a bit of a brute type character, a bit of an enforcer type character. There are some moments in which Yari or Tarvisa or Edwin bore witness to the fact that she herself is a very confrontational type character. She's very willing to set a fire and let it burn if it means sending a message. And I think perhaps one of my favorite aspects of Ivana was knitting together that small group of people, known as the Garden, and of course a couple of the other folks that weren't quite Garden status, but people that she could still trust and depend on to get her way with, like Fortuna, like Bellatrix, like Thorn. And I think overall, when it came to her impact as a character, I didn't necessarily consider that she was going to have such an emotional impact. Her goodbyes, when it was that I was leaving, were very charged. I felt a little guilt, but of course I knew that the emotions that were being felt by the people that I was saying goodbye to were because they had a good time, not because they were actually upset or frustrated with the fact that I had to leave. Yeah, I mean, all in all, her whole kit, the items that I had made for her were all gorgeously modeled, and I really appreciated, oh goodness, I think my favorite 2 models of the season that I'd asked for were Ivana's dagger, naturally, that is in the hands of Tori Alderidge, the honeyed thorn, and the bottle of poison that had only ever gotten a few cameos, known as Clot Weaver. The bottles are very intricately designed, and the lore, of course, attached to those items were fun, especially to reveal to the people that were near her. Yeah, I mean, I had a bunch of little hooks, the alchemist hook, the changeling hook, the thief hook, and
Well, there you go. The garden lives on, they say.
indeed. I also do have to share this because I currently have it as my background. Let me see. Ooh. So my current lock screen on my phone is the little bouquet that Bubble had made of the garden, and you can see all of the little like flowers that the garden represented. We have the death cap mushroom, we have the water hemlock, we have the nightshade, we have the foxglove and the aconite, and I have that little piece, and it's probably going to stay on my lock screen for a good long while. It's really quite adorable. I will maybe find it in Arts and Pics if Bubble has posted it, and I'll bump it after the end of the stream, but it was really quite endearing to receive that piece of art and to just see how lovely and how invested people were in it.
And still are, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
I will say someone said Clot Weaver was gorgeous. No comment.
When I talked through Edrin's stuff, I did promise during the season that when we came to the end, I would reveal the little monologue I had given for him, including his death. So I'll put that out there.
Yeah, fair.
But whether or not it was beautiful, it was cool.
It was cool. It was definitely cool.
Yeah, I mean, when Urgus kicked the bucket, it was really interesting to go back to my home as Ivana, because like I saw shit going down between Tervisa and Urgus, and Ivana was like, "We gotta get out of here," and fucking tucked tail and left, and getting arrested. Funny.
You didn't get arrested right out the gate. You had to go home first. And
Well,
then
I
you
mean, yeah, because Ivana was like, I don't want to get arrested on scene.
Next up, the second one I saw was Augustino. If you want to give a little chatting about Augustino, Bill.
Oh, it is I, Augustino. One of my favorite parts, I think, about the character design of Augustino going into it, was like I look back at like all the other characters I played, and they're all little shits. They were all just like terrible people. Stirred the pot a lot. So with Augustino, I just wanted to play a really nice guy, or at least a okay guy. So I made him a capitalist that had children, and he was a single father. That was the motivation I went in with it. He's just working his 9 to 5. So what if he plants a false flag operation on a different nation state? What happened? Like, who cares if he hires some pirates to attack somewhere? It happens. Like, is he the one that sent the druids to maybe fuck with the Black Rocks? Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Like,
hide the pirates?
don't worry about it.
No
I've been pardoned for all crimes. But I had a very fun time this season as Augustino. He was, the kind of the built to be the face of Do, the political guy, while everyone else is going into ancient ruins they weren't supposed to, or breaking into people's houses to read journals they weren't supposed to. Augustino was kind of there to be like, oh, we're so sorry. We actually don't know what doors are, and we don't know anything. But also got to kind of knock shoulders with the bigwigs, as I like to call it. With I got to do a lot of role play with Duke Rowan Umber, Duchess Clave Blackrock, and a lot of the even the Prime Minister a little bit, even Sir Belric, a lot of like different people. This season there was a lot of like room where it happened moments, small little things that like. The letter, the court case, and the letter that Augustino waited to deliver until after the court case, or the room, and all those small moments. And I know everyone else probably has one or two that happened over the season of just like, you had to be there to really know that was a moment that really influenced it. And with the design of how short the season was, I felt all those moments were just so more impactful. It was so fun. I really loved Do. I liked kind of the fact that, we were coming in and it was kind of already established. There was already people kind of invested into it. But, also, helping new people kind of like come on board. The fact that the Do ship was right at the docks of Stone Bay. I think like every day, oh, this is a new person to Kara. They have no idea what's going on. And I had to be like, well, I'm Do. This is what Do is. I'm going to explain this a lot to you. You probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but don't worry. Everyone here is very nice. And I got to like living in Stone Bay a little bit as Augustino. It was very fun.
Bubble, hold on to that question, because after we've gone over everyone's characters, we will take all little questions, and I will direct that one back to Bill about what was in that letter.
Oh, the letter! Oh, yeah! The letter!
I wrote it, so... I also saw Edwin. Or anything else, Bill, of course, feel free to go first.
Oh, no, I'm all good.
And I saw Edwin as well, if you want to give any further rundown, John.
Yeah. So with Edwin, like my immediate design was that I didn't want to play a character that was particularly powerful, basically in any way other than utility. He was my utility mage. I'd played. I look back kind of into my seasons of the past where there was Drace, short stint as Metnos, and then there was Lord of Rot. And I was like, damn, I play like a lot of people that people can't just like beef with without getting crushed. And I really wanted to take a backseat on that. And then also like playing someone like the chaplain. Like I wanted to really be like a codified little guy. Or codified, one of those words, I don't know. And I wanted to kind of see and explore how a character whom feels like he was wronged by the world, because he kind of was, not so much by the world, but just by like luck and a lack thereof. See what a character like that would behave like in a place like Kara, which is much smaller. Dukes and kings can't summon armies of thousands. They can summon armies of tens. It's a lot easier to run from. It's also kind of, he treated it like a fresh slate. I really enjoyed the role play at the very beginning of his time, where people kind of started peeling back the layers of Edwin and seeing that he wasn't the most happy with his life back in Dacia. And I wanted to make sure I wasn't painting that as like I'm a pure person and I deserve better because I'm pure, but more like, damn, I'm a selfish charlatan and I want more and I'm angry I didn't have it and that's everyone's problem except mine. And so hitting the ground early and getting to kind of plant some early seeds of dew, I didn't expect those seeds, since everything's a garden metaphor, didn't expect those seeds to like sprout. And then I gathered like a small group of people and then had some of the first betrayals of the season, which was really delicious as a character like Edwin, who's petty. Like we saw that with how he responded to learning that he had been broken into and things like that. But then like the real work that I enjoyed of the character wasn't really discovered until we were really nearing the end, as people were joining the Phi, and I and Edwin realized, oh shit, they're here because of Edwin. And there were these like small, intricate moments that they had touched Edwin and Edwin had touched them. And it was like a beautiful little moment where they were like, yeah, we want to stand with you because like what you said, Edwin resonated with. And I really liked that because it was proof that a character doesn't have to be the Lord of Rot or the Captain of the Ordenza or a Necromancer to, one, garner a quote-unquote following and garner real relationships with people. As we were doing the outros, and I was trying to decide how Edwin would leave. And it kind of clicked with me. And I was like, okay, he'll make one more snide remark, and then he's going to disappear. Because that's what cowards do. And he is a coward. As me and the Phi folks, and then later the Dew folks, were giggling about as we kind of communicated more and more and more as we came together. He's the guy who sits in the van during the heist. There was no van for him to sit in Kara. So for the first time, he had to be like on the front. Actually, after me and Shasta and Dimitri and Dust sat down, we literally determined the first time that Edwin had ever actually been on the front lines of a heist was taking the command stone. Because Ivana was like, I'm gonna need you to guide me to it. You can't just point at the crate. And so starting Edwin off right there is you can't just point me to the crate, and then bringing him to where he was standing, like, and egging on Dew, like, fight me, I dare you, was really nice for me to see the character's growth. And then it was also really nice to spin that and get to kind of speak to kind of Karin normalcies of, don't let anyone put their foot on your throat. Don't let anyone clip your wings. If you're not doing anything wrong, shouldn't be hurt. Edwin was like a very refreshing character for me to play selfishly. And I realize I'm sitting here talking about my experience playing Edwin. But it was really nice to be a little guy and then to engage with little guys. And then at the very end, kind of show who he is as a person and be like, these relationships are fleeting. I will think of you sometimes. I'm getting the fuck off these rocks.
I know I had a very similar experience playing the character. That is, the ending, of course, is neither here nor there. And
then I in like the model design, I really wanted Edmund to not get any weapons. And because for the past three seasonal characters, I had been given like weapons or abilities that were just really powerful. And so I really wanted to tap into like the history of Kara, and that the history of Kara is really unknown, and that it's really old, just because Old Winter's old. And so I wanted to explore. I wanted to give our Loris girlies something. That was a little subplot I wanted to do, was give them something. And Dylan on writing team worked really closely with me on books to populate that library. And then that was the flute. And then I really liked the Cat's Bowl potion because one was a nice homage to The Secret. And then two, it was nice to tie in Ivana and Edwin. And then I really wanted to give out the Hag's Eye. The person I had slated to give out the Hag's Eye played their cards too soon. So I'll have to figure out another thing to do with that. It's semi-sentient. It'll show up again.
Oh yeah. Certainly nothing will be wasted.
No. I think that's everything for me.
Hmm. Then let's run through our remaining characters here. I'm just gonna go by camera order, which means you're up, Corellian.
Hello. So Volmar, I didn't get to do as much as I wanted to with him because of real life stuff, but that happens. But definitely introducing him at the start was definitely meant to be, out of the do people, the more slimy one to a certain degree. As everyone had their various jobs. Obviously, Augustina was being the face. Ergus had their own job, which Zach can talk about when they talk about their character. But Volmar's whole thing was chasing the Fi. Back in Dashia, that was his job, was dealing with basically anything that interrupted do business. Was Volmar's job to deal with, which a lot of the time ends up being the Fi. And specifically, one person that he'd been on the trail for a while was one that went by a moniker called the Shepherd. And then eventually he gets on the trail of them stealing something and coming to Kara, so he's put on that by the good old Wine King. And that sets him in Kara trying to find this artifact. At the start, I definitely tried to have a mix of. I've always tried to play characters that I don't like just blatantly lying constantly. So definitely using it where he's telling the truth but not at the same time. So Volmar was asking about business a lot of the time because he does care about business because he was originally a merchant. But obviously there's always ulterior motives to that, which was revealed in some of the books that he found. But the whole point of Volmar was his purpose was to find the Fi, which is why his first event confirmed that the Fi were in Kara, which he did by planting a book on the person just to make it so he could say that the Fi were definitely there because he knew they were there, but he needed to prove it to the people of Kara. I mean, what? I didn't plant a book on the dead person.
They were fake?
They were what? I didn't plant a book. I don't know what you're talking about. Ergus definitely didn't write Volmar a nice little book that tied over all the loose ends that Volmar didn't think about because he doesn't usually deal with this much. What's the word? Best way? Fight back from people. People usually just listen to do and go with do. But yeah, Volmar confirmed that the Fi were here and then chased Fi, trying to find out who they were, finding out the individuals, finding out where they were, and then everything kind of went a bit weird with the Tarvisa stuff, but he served his purpose of getting Tarvisa, and then after that, he kind of went on the backlight a bit, mainly because of personal stuff. But in character, he definitely helped with the fight against the Facehunters and stuff. Just more of a backline role, because Volmar is not a military fighter. He is definitely a stab in the back kind of person. And then I think the explanation I came up with for him not being seen by the people of Kara after the fight was because he arranged a ship to definitely legitimately crash with Volmar on it. And Volmar is now supposedly missing or dead. Because, as the Do people explained when they first, after the Facehunter stuff, at least to some of the Do other people, they assumed they were either dead or screwed or anything of the sort because they failed their job. And especially Volmar, because it was Volmar's job to stop the artifact. And yeah, his whole purpose was he kind of failed at it. He kind of failed his job the entire time. He got the first part of the gun, but when the artifact was used, I think that kind of I tried to play it as that like Volmar did not anticipate them to use the artifact, so that happening kind of put everything wrong for Volmar, which is why from then on he was kind of hiding and eventually just disappeared. So hopefully the Wine King doesn't hunt him down and kill him. But yeah, he's a slimy character. He was meant to be a person that did anything that they could to find out the answers. I think I said last time we did a stream about answering questions. He's inspired from a character from a book because I read a lot of books. And yeah, he's not a nice person. He just does anything that he does for the job, really. But the one thing that came over that at the end was self-preservation. So yeah.
And then we'll hop over to Tarvisa. Before that, actually, it is somewhat interesting to look at the different characters and how they, on their sides that were deadly and final, both freaked the fuck out when things went wrong. And then the actuality of it was a lot less terrible. Over to you, Dust, sorry.
That's okay. Tarvisa was a character that was born into a system that he inherently despised. But he was also born into the better part of that system where he was given pretty much anything. And he just particularly didn't like that. He was not someone who enjoyed the fact that he was given so much for doing so little while he watched everyone else work themselves to the bone to get a modicum of what he would get. And so when his parents died and he became, the heir to the noble name, he decided that he was going to try and change the system. And what better way to do that than be part of it in the other way as well? Which is part of the reason why one of his closest friends was Edwin, because Edwin is one of the hardest workers he had seen up to that point. And also why Tarvisa and Yari, it wasn't very public, they clashed heads every now and again. Because they had just, they do not get along. They disagree with each other on a lot of things. And he was really fun to play in the position that he was in because I had to juggle what I said around people and reason why Tarvisa would say things without giving away his full position. Because his entire existence as being a part of Do and Phi at the same time, while mainly being on Phi, is to give the Do a little bit so that he can keep everything else. Which is why he came along in the first place, because he heard that the Phi were in Kara, and he was like, well, fuck. The Do's gonna be here. I need to make sure they're gonna be okay. And then he pulled Volmar on a string for as long as he could until things started to plummet when he found out about Urgus making progress in something that would have assuredly doomed the Phi. So Urgus had to die. And he didn't want the other Phi to have to suffer those consequences. But he's also just incredibly arrogant and very much no, it'll work out. I'm certain it'll work out. Everything's gonna be fine, because it's always worked out for him. Which is why he did a lot of very rash, stupid things. But hey, everything worked out. And you know what? Totally worked out. He sipping a martini on his way back to Dacia, knowing that they got the weapon cache and there was nothing else in that weapon cache. But yeah, it was really fun to play him and interact, because I got to interact with every member of each group very consistently. And I think one of my favorite bits was the first bit of foreshadowing I did was Volmar playing a game of poker. And literally the first event that the Do showed up in. And Tarvisa said, no, I don't want to play poker. And Volmar was like, why? And he's like, oh, well, I'm a pretty bad liar. And then Thorn actually immediately called him out and said, that's something that a liar would say. Haha, I'm just kidding. And I was like, haha. Anyways.
I'm pretty sure Volmar then said, no, he's trustworthy.
Yeah.
Well.
But yeah.
Indeed, Tarvisa lived.
Sadly.
Not whenever
Who said that? Who said that?
Not whenever Yari fucking finds him, I swear to God.
Speaking of which, let's grab Yari, the shepherd.
Hi, how are ya? Hey guys, Shepherd here. Let's see. I had something going, but my brain isn't working. Give me 2 seconds.
Got this.
Sure.
So Yari was a character I kind of designed first in visual aspects before anything about his personality was set in stone. Just that I knew, what you saw is what you got. for the most part, I set that expectation. And basically, I had this sort of like hyperfixation on art history throughout the later half of my college years. And I kind of wanted to put that into a character. So stuff like the craftsmanship behind, historical artifacts and stuff. I put that into Yari originally. And Yari was just kind of gonna be a support character. Somebody who knew about artifacts and, more or less, what's the word? Collected them, I guess is the word. Curated, there we go. But then I had the idea for the shepherd, which was, his Dacian, criminal personality. Yari Praxis. Cover name. His real name, Reyes Creed. And he was a little bit more analytical, hopefully calculating. And as for the Phi and Kara, he wasn't actually he was not quite the leadership type. Save for Ivana. Ivana was one of his flock members. The other two were just there, Yari picked people who would not listen to him because they knew better. But his thing would just kind of be information gathering, very much hands-on, kind of leadership. What else am I thinking? Oh yeah. Then of course there were the fun activities such as opening a store. That was cool. New fun things out there in Kara now. Such as the worst thing in the world in hindsight, which is the flute. Not the flute, but the pan flute. Very noisy, very awful. Now there's the amulet. That was kind of the big one that was going to be behind the scenes. Not behind the scenes, but a subtle sort of thing that was handed out. Quite bitchin', that amulet. That amulet was pretty bitchin'.
It made it into the one shot of the deep.
It sure did. By the way, second event, retrieval of Yari's pen pal. What was... I forgot his name. Brilliant.
Judd
What?
Reeves.
Judd Reeves?
Yeah, Judd Reeves, baby.
Yeah.
Judd
boy's
Reeves.
dead.
He actually double crossed the Phi and Do, just to get his bag, But the whole purpose behind the two of them both going after him was so that they could probably kill him. It just so happens that Do beat Yari to the punch. Yari was definitely planning on killing that guy.
No, he was your friend, right? He was your pen pal.
Oh yeah, he was my pen pal.
Yeah.
Of course, the guise of Yari Praxis, not the shepherd.
And really, for a lot of the season, what you ended up doing was putting up a sort of smoke screen of very normal things, actually.
Yeah.
Because the Phi had the thing, and they might be able to run the blockade, but then they'd be running again, and they'd still be being chased, and the Determiners had put an unprecedented amount of resources into this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So your only hope for hopefully something coming up that could resolve this for you in a short term, and maybe you could slip away, was that the locals would stop the determiners from doing anything. And you know what? It worked.
It worked. You opened a goddamn shop.
Yeah, Yari played good boy for Kara, and they never suspect him of having the thing that dude was looking for. And basically bribed everybody with this cool, funny little materials. Yeah, and then Yari is revealed to be the shepherd about the same time that Ivana fucking blows up a boat.
Yeah. And then
He did his YouTuber apology in front of 4 people. Everybody else was kind of anticipating the boat to blow up, but he goes to Parliament Island, sets up a picnic, 4 people show up, and he does this YouTuber apology of, "I'm sorry, I am the shepherd." And then that's it until he fucks up and opens up the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what's up, man?
A lot of making fun of Bulma's mother.
What's up, John?
You just reminded me of something, but I want to make sure you finish your stuff.
Yeah, and then he had to take on a bit of a I fucked up approach after shit went to fuck. And then he started owning up to his mistake. Like, because his mistake got a lot worse. And then he left without a whole lot of hoorah, save for the fact that now he has a new member of his flock to take home with him, which was Moonlight. Go ahead, John.
Real quick, just you bringing up the YouTube apology video. Do you guys remember when we were all like, "Oh, we're all getting arrested after this"? The douche ship blowing up, summoning an army of chickens. And I remember I touched down as Edwin. I got out of spec and stopped spawning. And it was one /L that saved me, which was, "These are those chickens who are angry at the city for dislocating them." And everyone went, "I guess, Edwin." And I just...
Guys,
That makes perfect sense.
I was like, all right, we'll run with it.
Of course!
I just...
Oh man.
The chickens were throwing eggs at people! Okay.
I just all the little tiny moving parts as the ship was blowing up.
Oh, the stress of that, dear lord.
Thank you
Oh
all
my
for running
God.
that. I was busy that evening.
I think
But
the worst part of that
Christ.
event was afterwards. Both Yari and Edwin just shit talking the entire time, and I couldn't talk with my mic at the moment for other stuff, so I just had to sit there and just listen as they just shit talked, and it was brutal.
I would like to report a crime. I've been punched. XO. Edwin
That was
Street
hilarious.
with love. I would like to report another crime. I have been punched. Again.
You're just being in the street like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I told him I'm the shepherd," and Volmar being like, "What?"
Yeah. Ooh.
Edwin did pay his rent. He gave the Lord Mayor a potion far worth more than 64 silver.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dino, for your patience and allowing me to dig holes under the city.
Honestly, thank you, Dino, for your patience for the entire time.
Thanks for helping us make something cool. Yeah.
I loved escaping that boat and then specking back and seeing chickens on every single roof of Stone Bay and not knowing what the hell was going on.
Those are my archers. They were perched.
And then, of course, there was Urgus, who made it about halfway through. Urgus started out as me being like, I need to play someone where I can just be nice to people for once. I just need to be nice to people while I'm playing a character of one season. And lo and behold, that happened to work out with this design. And then as I got other people's characters in, I quickly shifted a couple of small details on Urgus to make him recognizable to them. Make him someone who held things similar to each of them. And that was quite on purpose, because Urgus's death was originally, and then it wasn't, and then it was again, as we adapted the season, going to be that point where things definitively went too far. I wrote it out. But Ivana didn't know a lot about what they were stealing. When Urgus was first sent, he was also just a worker, someone sent to go and collect something. Tarvisa was the hidden weapon in collecting information. Urgus was the secret weapon in collecting information. That was his job. He was there to piece together why it is that why did the Phi bring the thing here? Why did they bring? They must have a purpose. Lo and behold, there was a purpose, but Phi didn't know that until Urgus did. Edwin was the explorer who did not get lucky, and Urgus was the one who did. Both of them, if Urgus hadn't just taken a specific action at a specific moment, he would have died on the streets of, I think it was Nidstrabansis. And the shepherd, who led their flock and collected things to disperse among those around them, he didn't hold a lot to at first. But you, the players, pushed Urgus towards building up relationships around him. Because a lot of you realize that Urgus traveled place to place, he wrote a lot, he made stories, but he didn't have people who... like, he didn't have his own people, you know? It was a hired crew for 6 months. It was workers that were temporary from a local area. It was people he had just met a couple months ago, even now. But yeah, a lot of you didn't get to see super paranoid Urgus, although maybe some of you pieced it together when he stepped up immediately out of the bar and walked out onto the street to confront people, which happened like 4 times as they were talking about something vaguely connected to him. Some of you did, and you got to have very interesting private conversations, some of which he absolutely just broke in and was like, you can't talk about this. If you tell anyone about this, we're all doomed. Treasure hunters from the entire world over will come here because the money they can get from this is worth more than our lives are to them. That was Urgus viewing his decision as final and deadly. And it was very personal to him. And it all came to a head when someone told him that his assassination was being plotted because they had a mole on the ship who had been there for months. So Urgus did what Urgus does, and he didn't grab up any of the people around him he had gathered. He'd only known them for a few months or weeks. He went and did it himself. And it ended really badly because he died. And that's what it was. It was the moment where things had gone too wrong. Darius came in afterwards, but Darius was really just me looking at how our timetables fit together and being like, I need to be around a couple times so that I can help things fit together.
Yeah.
Sorry, bud. Don't worry about it. You did what you thought was right. You played into it, Nomura, and that's fine. The fact that you took action is something I'm actually very excited about. That's a good thing.
But what did he say whilst he was dying, Zach?
Ah, yes, I had promised to give out my little written monologue. It is in my notes style, which means it's a little bit messy, but you'll have to deal with
Is this without the Minecraft drunkenness?
This is without the Minecraft drunkenness, making all my slash do's unintelligible, or the 1,000 other slash do's going on around, making them brush by in 2 seconds.
Hmm.
And I'll just link that in the chat. I have no idea how to link something in the chat, actually.
You just drop the link.
Just drop it? Alright, there we go.
Copy and paste.
Yeah.
There you go, folks.
You know, another
The really
thing
good
is you could
speech.
put it in the NQP chat. Make me find
Oh.
it there.
You're right.
Quick,
You
delete
know
it,
what?
delete it,
I
quick.
have a second link that is my end of season wrap up speech as Darius. I think I'll put them both there.
Quick, delete the link, quick. Mods, get it.
If you want to, mods, go for it. Not a big deal. I know Dylan dropped the server link a little while ago. If someone could do that again, that would be lovely. Just gonna drop those right in the NQP chat and my closing speech as well, which includes all of the key events of the season and none of the ones you don't need to know, but were very fun to live through. Thank you, John.
Oh, and they pinned it as well. Thank you. Wonderful stuff.
So yeah, with us having gone through all the characters this season, hello Hiram. Hello Jacko Gord. I think we'll just open for questions. So like earlier, there's that question about the letter. That's my alarm telling me I have D&D in an hour.
I thought it was time for me to go to sleep for a second.
We'll start with that. If you want to run over that, Bill, you can. Otherwise, I will. If you remember, Bill, of course.
I don't remember like every like how the letter like 100% sounded. I mean, I know it was very threatening.
Oh man.
And it was along the lines of, actually, it is Kara's own fault for not knowing what's going on. And they actually just need to let the people do what they need to do. Or the price of Kara's silver was going to go down and the economy was going to crash. And I did plan, I was planning a little thing. If I did deliver the letter, I was going to start with the conversation by letting them know, I got a report that the price of silver just dropped a little bit. Don't worry, it should stabilize. And then when I leave with Volmar would also inform them that we also just heard again that the price of silver dropped again. Sorry about that. These prices change so fast. Mere conversations. But I remember, the letter was very, very, very ominous, and I was holding on to it for a while. And one of my favorite parts of the season was I got all the little guys to play hot potato with it. And including getting several people to look at Augustino and go, "You've never seen me with this letter, correct?" And they're like, "I've never seen you with this letter. You're going to take this letter from me." And they're like, "Yes, I'm going to take this letter from you. And you're just going to walk away and act like I never got it yet." And that we did that for like what, 4 hours?
The first time we got the letter, we told someone to go get Bumblesnot to do it and tell them to do it slowly, and it got mixed up. And Travis came immediately with the letter, and we're like, shit.
We wanted Bumblesnort because we wanted Bumblesnort to have him. We were gonna order him to have 100 conversations on the way.
Yeah, that was
and we got Travis, who's far too efficient for what we needed.
Yeah.
And so we quickly had to come up with some task for Travis.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you remember, Zach? I don't know if you have the letter written, pulled up.
I'm looking for it right now. I must have given it a ridiculous name. But it was basically the merchant prince saying, "Hey," what it actually was, because Augustino never read it. What it actually was the Wine King saying, "Hey, there's this other conflict going on. I don't really care about that. I've heard some weird things about you from my employees that are way different from what someone else has been telling me." That's weird. We're gonna ignore that, okay? My friend is dead, and you are partially responsible. And if you keep stopping my people from avenging his death, I will take it personally. You will be blockaded publicly until it's resolved. However, it was organized in just such a manner and resolved in just such a way that a report was sent back to the Wine King just in time to tell him it had all been resolved.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the very few acts of working together we saw before the midpoint of the season where the Face Stealers came out.
Crazy how that happened.
I get to keep my boyfriend.
Let me go to
Agostino's still
Like,
making
what's
money.
I'll get the exact letter and I'll post that in the chat too. Why not? In the NQP chat on the server.
I don't know. There's still going to be repercussions for Agostino, seeing as we still lost the artifact.
Yeah,
You're never getting put on a
Agostino like this ever again is what's happening.
Listen,
That's why Volmar made that ship disappear. Cause he's like,
well,
especially when Volmar
the way I seen it,
like, I'm gonna die.
You know,
Agostino stood and cleaned up the mess.
Volmar dipped.
Volmar, I got a funny little club you could join.
Volmar is just hiding, probably in a place like the Wilden Woods or something like that, hating his life now because he liked cities and civilization, and now he's not in the opposite, most likely.
That letter?
On a beach sipping martinis with Biggie and Tupac, you know.
If I look,
if anywhere,
Maybe he's
Volmar's
just
probably in a
funny.
place like Furcat or something where there's no centralized law. And yeah.
is it this one? No.
I think I still loved
I'll find it
Augustino getting
eventually.
that ring. Augustino getting the ring and then just randomly getting pushed to the side and shit with that ring every once in a while. Was fun stuff.
Oh yeah, that was a very fun event to do. I essentially got to scratch my urge for. Oh, it's been far too long since I've done dwarven things. And you know, Agostino was on vacation, and what does he do on vacation? He tries to be Urgus and goes into dungeons and immediately gets cursed with a fucking ring.
There's another
He did get a battle golem out of it, so I think a win's a win.
Got a different question. I don't know if we answered it. What would happen if the guards were alerted about the Tavisa conspiracy?
What would they have
Bad
done?
stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah, the guards
It
would have
seems
fucking Jesus.
they probably would have tried to arrest him and then ripped some information out, and then we would have had an act of mistrust, and then maybe something would have happened in the prison cells between the both of them.
I just remember our goal being to get fucking Tarvisa on that ship.
Just need to get him on the ship.
He just needs to be on that ship. That's all we need.
Here,
Rattling
it is.
Sam being like, can we have a whole court case within 2 hours? Is that possible?
Oh, poor Sam. Poor
Poor
Sam.
Sam. We love Sam. But literally we're like, we need it done tonight.
Luckily, I talked to Sam.
Yeah, I think we asked him
beforehand.
about we asked Sam about it like the day or so before, and it was like, yeah.
In any case,
Sam's wonderful. So.
I'll link that in the NQP chat because I just found it.
Oh, wonderful. I'll see if I can find
And we'll move on
questions.
to another question. If you could flick through the chat for me, Crow.
Yeah. Any questions from any goobers? Anything that
There was
things
some
that are missing?
earlier.
Oh, here we are. Question for Dima. What were the meaning of some of the papers, specifically the tattered map? Though I wouldn't mind getting a further understanding of the other 3.
Sure. So the papers that were coming out of Ivana's first event, basically, used a cipher known as an affine cipher, wherein each letter in the alphabet is assigned a numerical value, with A equaling 0, B equaling 1, so on and so forth. So it's 0 through 25. And her specific key was that you would multiply whatever that numerical value was by 7, and you would shift it 13, which is the super duper technical way on how to use the affine cipher. But each of those papers, functionally speaking, were supposed to allude to some sort of grander point in the season. So the first page that she had lost was the key to the encoded messages within the other papers called Seven Bakers. And the translation for that was, it's been a rough few years, which is an example of Thieves' Cant, which is like, hey, we've really got to talk about something. Wayward pricks are coming, referring to the Determiners. We have to be careful now. And then the second page was the Clotweaver teaser, which of course was like, Clotweaver is really cool. Like, it's the specific plant that we're using is henbane, which henbane is known for its potency, and there's the ciphered bit, which was its undetectability in the poison itself. And page 3 didn't include a cipher, but it was, of course, a portrait that Ivana had drew of her older sister, Olympia Gataki. And page 4, which is the tattered map, the ciphered bit in red ink that marked a location that was where the spy had originally come across the weapon cache, which was the command stone, had the X marked, and it, if you ciphered it correctly, would read stash. Ivana had gotten the inkling from somebody that, hey, Urgus is looking for all of these little pages. And Ivana was like, okay, so who got the tattered map? And so she had remembered who had gotten the tattered map, because she allowed most everybody to keep these things. Because she's like, I don't think the Karens are going to get the ciphers on this. That's fine. And as soon as it was floated by her that they got the ciphers on it, she's like, maybe I should go get that one back specifically. So she had gone over to Eris Lycan's house, who was the person who had gotten the map, and bribed them with 7 bars of silver. And replaced the map that they had with one that led to Old Falana, rather than where they had originally gotten the command stone. And the cipher that was in those various pages from the Poisoner's Preface was the cipher that Ivana had used in pretty much all of her journals and other notes throughout the season, given to players and being left out.
And that map did end up making the rounds over to Urgus, who was the one who ended up collecting it, and then that was passed to Volmar, and it was deemed useless because it was talking about Old Falana, of course.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have?
Was there any major wrench thrown in the... Was there any major wrench thrown in the plans by the players from Namora? Yes. I mean, what?
There was a really big one for me.
There was a whole fucking bag of them.
A lot of little ones that we had to constantly redesign for, right? Just based on your choices, but we knew that was coming. One that for some reason caught me off guard was right at the start when we arrived. I had this sinking feeling that I couldn't trust anyone who was talking with us. And I was like, oh, you're just paranoid, Zach. You're playing a paranoid character. It's leaking onto you. You were all working against us right from the start.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your lives had been threatened. I did not expect that.
Yeah, I didn't expect the immediate, distrust of... I get it, and don't, but the immediate distrust of Do completely, at least that's what we got from our side. Obviously, I don't know how it was for the Fies as much, was definitely a hurdle that I didn't anticipate to start with. I knew it would come eventually.
They heard the title, Greater Than Greed, and they said, pointed at the capitalists, you!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was greedy this season. It was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the design.
Oh, everyone was very greedy this season. It was great.
The biggest thing that I can think of that we had to kind of work around was, like I said before, getting Tarvisa on the ship for them to get broken out of the ship. That was the one where we were stressing the most of just how do we work these pieces.
I think also on that note, Habagat and her schemings also went a little bit underappreciated. Her assassination attempt was completely fabricated.
Yes.
There was
What are you talking about? You totally did that.
There was a good few things that were missed as well, because on your event, when the ship got broken into, lots of books weren't taken. Because also the
Very
whole
low
pirate
time
thing,
limit.
the whole pirate thing with Grimwood, that was completely fabricated as well by Do, or
that
slightly.
was on the ship. There was some paperwork about the actually about the face stealers and about the pillars and whatnot that was on there that also got missed.
Yeah.
But we made sure it came up later.
Yeah.
You talk about documents that nobody snooped through.
Yeah.
Because I think it was the excavator for the Yari event, where they uncovered the ley line interception. He's got a litany of health problems, right? And in Yari's house was a book that diagnosed him with a rare form of colorblindness that made blue appear green. And he referenced the shepherd being green. It was something so small, and I was
Little
hoping someone
detail.
little detail.
Playing that stupid little character.
Speaking of photographies, we're
It
gonna
was
close
so
up
much fun to just be silly for a day and be like, yeah, I'm a coal miner that goes into comas. What's up?
Sam's asking if the journal cipher leading to the journal basement was a 10 million IQ play or his bravado.
Okay. Okay. It was, admittedly, me being overzealous. A little bit of Tarvisa as well. Tarvisa's a very arrogant person. However, looking at it in hindsight, it worked out for Tarvisa a little bit better because he was able to shield a lot of what he did over the fact that people knew about it and didn't do anything to stop him. But it was it was more or less a really stupid decision that turned out unnaturally well for him.
There we go. There you go.
Yeah.
Was Urgus disguised as a pirate? No. No. You would have recognized. Urgus is not a very sneaky individual as much as he pretended to be at times. People found
every
things
time
out
you-
quick.
Every time he furrowed his brow, you could hear a gust of wind.
Looking for books, but it was tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was with the
I realized.
ley line? Did we ever use that again? That was just an addition, and the reason I liked the addition is because it was a very small hint that whatever this thing was activating was very powerful magic. Not like a weapon. It was very powerful magic. Something stationary.
There was a little bit of a flub, in which somebody had a vision about it. Some mage stuff, and that kind of led down the wrong corridor of something. It was just supposed to be foreshadowing, right? That what's the word? Why isn't it coming to my brain? Really, civilization before Kara.
The Draenor.
Draenoran?
Yeah, the Draenorans did a ritual.
That's the
Ritual
important.
went bad. They didn't know what they were fucking with. It was just supposed to be foreshadowing. It didn't mean, like, storyline stuff, man. My bad.
It happened.
My bad.
We
That's how
brought
these
it
things
back.
work.
Yeah. I did enjoy
like,
bringing up the Accordant, not the Accordant Empire, the Janorans being the Accordant Empire with when it was me and John doing an event. I enjoyed adding a bit of information to try and clear that up a little bit. That was fun.
Yeah, I liked referencing every time someone was like, "That's Draenor," and everyone would be like, "That looks like really old Elvish."
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of this season was this was like the dungeon crawl season. We had like a bunch of really awesome dungeons, really cool builds from Build Team.
As always.
My favorite part was like all of them we like got to go back to more than once
Yeah.
and like do again and again. And like each time we went back, like it was a new thing was discovered or unlocked or figured out.
How,
It was very fun.
however, that staircase still gives me nightmares. So,
Staircase does give me nightmares.
yeah,
Staircase
that thing is awful.
I remember
Every-
putting that together as with me and Zach. That was Zach,
Every
come on, spawner 27.
Oh,
every
do we need to cut him down? Yeah.
every time you
Yeah.
thought you reached the bottom and you turned again,
You just
there'd
keep
be more
going.
stairs.
Like, I didn't realize how bad of it was because I wasn't involved with the previous events until the Tavisa event when we captured Tavisa, and I just got told to run down the stairs and don't fight, and I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. Okay, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Getting to that dungeon in that one event, and like there's like 6 of us when there was originally 12, and they're like, you guys have 5 minutes to get down there, break the ward, and take this to obelisk out. And we're like, oh god. And it's just like, just run.
Literally seconds before the timer ended. We'll take a couple last questions and then I'm going to close up on the half-hour-ish here, okay?
Gotcha.
Did Volmar have any plans to go after people associating with the Fi or characters and his capacity as an enforcer? Or was he tunnel visioned on the Fi themselves and had sort of a disregard for their accomplices?
The only ones he kind of got bothered about was towards the end with the people that blew up the ship, with the garden people. Apart from that, it was all people that didn't have the full picture. But the second they blew up Do Property, it was, yeah. The main plan was to find out who they were, and the second they tried to leave Kara, capture them, same as it was with the Fi members, because then he wouldn't have to worry about Kara and law. But then the second the Faceless stuff happened, Volmar self-preservation kicked in, and yeah, so sadly all the Fi members got to get away because Volmar didn't get to enforce that.
Throughout my washing, I found in Urgus's room that there were some fucked up journals and books. Anything you can say about those? Which one specifically? I wrote maybe 12 books, and I had over 80 books in Urgus's room by the end of the season.
I felt so sorry for the people that tried to look through your room to find out anything important through those books.
You have to spend time doing it.
Oh my word! I just didn't do it. I just let the players do it, and I was like, I'll come back to it.
Thank you for your apology.
I did like deploying the I'm gonna write 2 letters and they're gonna say opposite things, and I'm gonna leave them out to see which one gets read and which one gets reported back.
Oh, they're wondering if the Azamundus thing, the Azamund was Azamundus. That was entirely situational and not meant to happen, but I rolled with it and said it was. That was written by one of our writers, who did not know the meaning of such a set of letters put directly together, because it wasn't relevant to anything we were writing about.
Get out of Ivana.
Any of the black and blood people just like.
So that's what he's been up to. He's in Kara. I thought it was a lady's name. I'm confused.
He was just vibrant and calm.
I guess I'll do a very, very brief run through of some of the things. Urgus had some journals from before his time here, which talked about his journey and about his study of the thing and about how important these things were to him, how much time he had spent on it, and a number of different people he met briefly. He also wrote a number of fake journals for fake things to try and control the narrative, because that was one of his strongest skills, including the one that was on Jet Reeves.
Yeah, and you had a like a mistaked version of the Judd Reeves journal in those for players to find, which I
for the players to find. I did one that was like, this is fucked up. He like ripped the last page out because it was wrong. Mages, cryptic messages, weird symbols, extreme exhaustion, and restless nights. Yeah, that was stuff that Urgus had fabricated based off of the fantasy of what a crazed cultist was, and a real story from Augustino and a few Karens that he just meshed together. That's why the story seemed almost believable, is because you guys told him the story, basically. Catching Shasta on the boat.
Oh, I remember that, because it was like I told the story. It was literally a story I like randomly made up, like on the spot, because someone was like, "Oh, Augustino, you're a sailor. You have a story." So I just like, gathered a bunch of random details, And then like later that night, we were like, "Oh, we need kind of a diversion. We need something, a little false flag, something going on." And I was like, "There was a story I told earlier, actually, and I remember we could use that." So, and I think there's like one or two people who did question Augustino later about it, who like were with the group that originally heard him tell the story. And I was like, "Oh wow, oh shit, they're catching on. Oh no."
I have to hop in and say that it was my idea to steal 30 copies of the will because I had to figure out a way to show some form of you messed with thieves. That was me.
Was there
we
like
had a really good time doing it.
Was 30 like the goal number, or was it just like I got 30? Like
I filled my inventory a few times with writable books, and just as soon as I started getting tired of making copies, I stopped.
Okay.
It was your will.
It was very fun. Yeah.
It was.
I think at like 3 different times through the season, I just like, oh, by the way, here's another copy of your will back, just so you know.
And I was trying to figure out like what's the least threatening but like still impactful way. I was like, oh, just fill the douche ship. That's hilarious. So, yeah, that's funny.
In any case, thank you all for coming and joining us on this particularly short season, but particularly eventful one. You have managed not to ban either organization, which means you're going to get a couple of shops coming up eventually here, because we want some of those